Alright guys, here are the three Accordio brothers. Soon they will be launching a Accordio EDT eau de parfum as well. So once that comes into the picture, then probably I'll be talking about that one as well. Other than that, I tested out a few that were available, and I found that among them, these are the three. There's another one, Absolute, I believe, right? So these are the three that are more pleasing to the nose, and which is the best I will discuss in a while. All right. So these are the three that I got. I will try to talk about the price as well, although nowadays in the internet you can easily get the price. And the bag also, they gave this cool looking red and gold bag due to the Chinese New Year celebrations. So let's get down and go through each of the Accordio brothers. Alright, as you can see, the Accordio bottle is a classic. It reminds me of all those 1990s famous design products like the Apple Mac lines, and then Levi's jeans, even CK1 back in the day, right? It's got this frosted glass look combined with a dull gray color. Even you can see this box as well. So it evokes lots of the 90s clean style of design or fashion of the time. So this perfectly encapsulates the ethos, the fresh vibes of the 1990s. Of course, time passed by and the world changed, and then things become how to say more what to say. People went into more gothic style, maybe, and then the pandemic and all happened, and so things are in a different place definitely, and style and fashion will evolve accordingly. But the 90s were that time of all these fresh and Beverly Hills, and all these this kind of feel, style, Abercrombie and Fitch and all those things. So this perfectly encapsulates the 90s. All right. If Drakkar was the 80s, then this is the 90s. Okay. If you guys know of any other perfume that more reflects the 90s than this, please share with me, guys. And also, of course, like certain iconic products, like say the Ferrari Testarossa, or of course Testarossa I think was the 80s car, and some other iconic products for male perfumes. This, I mean, you can't, I mean, if you are any male who was sort of college going age from the 90s to the 2000s, I think everybody would know this. Nobody, if someone says they don't know this thing, they are really in some kind of their own, living in their own world. All right. Do any of your friends, not male friends of that age, not know this particular perfume? Do share the stories. Yeah. Okay, comrades, brothers, sisters, friends, buddies, let's get into this classic, this legend, this perfume that everybody knows. So let's get down to the basics. This Accordio by Giorgio Armani was launched in the year 1996, and it's considered an aromatic and aquatic. And there are three noses. Many people just mention Alberto Morillas, but apparently Enric Manado as well as Christian Duzolier were involved in the making of this legend. And as I mentioned to you guys before on the other legend, YSL La Nuit de l'Homme, which also involves three people. It always seems like three brains are better than one. So I don't know whether there are other fragrances with three people who have become such legends, but well, these two have. So this as I mentioned earlier, right, it encapsulates the 90s in a beautiful way. The frosted glass, although the Leo de Issei by Issei Miyake preceded it with a similar frosted glass look, and some people say that both are the same, but the let's say by Leo de Issei by Issei Miyake is a very yuzu based, very strong citrusy vibe, perfect for office and such things. It's a good perfume and with good projection and longevity compared to Accordio, which is less on that. But that's a totally different, it's very citrusy to me. But this has a very interesting blend. It reminds me of winter melon among other things, although that is apparently due to artificial note. It's called calone, right? There's a whole lot of organic chemistry story going on how this was developed by the Pfizer Corporation in the 1950s and 60s, but that's another story altogether. We no need to nerd out too much on that. But that has a watermelon kind of smell, but to me it's more like a winter melon rather than or the other white melon rather than the typical watermelon, but it's great. Okay, so it you know, people talk about the excesses of 80s, right? Let's call this the excesses of 90s because it's got so many citrus type of fruits as well as so many flowers that went into the making of this, and I'm surprised that they still managed to give it the masculine vibe rather than feminine vibe, where many perfumes which this kind of multiple flowers thrown in usually smell very feminine. So anyway, just to give you some sampling of the notes, right? We got a top of lime, lemon, bergamot, orange, mandarin orange, jasmine, and neroli. Mid is by C notes, jasmine, cologne, as I mentioned earlier, that artificial note, peach, freesia, rosemary, violet, some spices as well, coriander, nutmeg, and rose. I thought I smelled some pepper, maybe, I don't know, it's the coriander probably, and then a base of white musk, cedar, oak moss, patchouli, and amber. All right, so this is a very beautiful, elegantly blended combination of scents. Very still I think it's unique, and there's a reason it became very popular. Almost nobody would hate it, with the drawback being it's a bit what do you call it, too known, right? People say it's a dad scent, or reminds them of their ex dates in the 90s perhaps, and so on. But I think if a youthful people who did not smell it in their relatives take a whiff, they, I think, would definitely enjoy this perfume. As I mentioned earlier, I got this 50 ml bottle for $72, and I would like to mention one thing. I see a lot of comments by many people in websites and all these forums and so on about reformulations and dilutions. I would like to reiterate, please buy, if possible, walk in personally, go to an authorized shop. If you see some of my videos, you see the intro where I go to the authentic authorized shop at a very well-known or internationally recognized shopping mall and get the product. So then you can really smell this one. It is a floral freshy, right? So generally it will be more weaker than the darker maybe incensey or certain blue fragrances, oud and so on, right? Definitely it'll be weaker and shorter acting, but it's not as horrible as some people mention it to be. Okay, so I smelled it still as pleasant as I smelled it in the early 2000s, back in the heyday when I just used this to go for. It was always in my car's dashboard, although people talk about the heat and everything. It was in my dashboard, and I just spray a few on before I just go socializing. So it's equal, if not slightly stronger than before to me. Okay, that's my verdict. But definitely don't expect a dark or a oud type of parfum level of projection and longevity in this. Okay. What else? I can talk about this for, I think, literally hours and ages, because it's such a landmark, right, in the perfume of the years of perfume. I doubt there was any perfume from the, I don't know, 1800s until now which had such a big volume of sales as well as a landmark product, right? So now, although people talk about C notes and marine everything, for me, I can summarize all this multitude of scents into white melon, some pepper, and a bit of musk. And the musk is yeah, I know the criticism of the egg, and I also don't like the eggy vibe of a musk. And some perfume, to me, for example, Dolce & Gabbana light blue overdoes it, right, until you feel like nauseous and so on. But this one is just a tinge of it, and it's not bad. But I don't know why they add it. There must be some reasons for it. Okay, so it's not so horrible. Then you got a group of people who talk about the Perry Ellis 360, the red, suspiciously looking, suspicious appearing bottle. Again, personally, I think don't do clones. Don't get clones, guys. You can get an authentic product by that brand at that price. Okay, but no need to get a perfume by a brand X, a mid-tier brand which mimics a higher. Don't do that, right? Because this is going to encourage manufacturers to to just copy rather than be original. A cheap perfume can be good as well if the perfumer uses the ingredients that he can afford and try to be original with it, right? So this whole attempts to be clones and people supporting clones, at least at this point in time, I'm not really in favor of it. I mean, inspired by and differently blended is a different thing, but you know, okay, I guess I leave it to you guys in the comment about that. And people accuse me of being a perfume snob and whatnot, but try to go for the original. It's not horribly expensive, and perfumes, as everybody knows, are not an essential life or death product. So you know, if you can afford a perfume, try to get a good one. Or if you have a budget limitation, maybe don't buy too many, but buy good ones and then use them on, you know, really important occasions. Okay, so these are my thoughts on that. So other than that, I talked about this versus Perry Ellis. I talked about this versus Miyake. Hello, they say. Maybe I'll do a video on this versus Dior Sauvage, which is sort of more of an iconic fragrance of the current few years compared to this in the 90s and all that. But you know, this is still unique. Dior's advantage being the projection and whatnot, among other things. Okay, so what else? Maybe I'll change to a darker mode and then continue with a few more points. One thing about this perfume is that this is hyper versatile. You know, you can literally do anything with the perfume and you can't go wrong. And this is also iconic both in the frosted bottle glass design as well as the what you call it, the smell itself. Okay, it's got this whole how to put it, fresh and iconic smell, I would say, you know, iconic blend, that's what I would say. So if you can compare it to other products like a Porsche 911 or maybe a blue Levi's jeans, you know, a Ferrari Testarossa or whatnot, so it's a very iconic product, I would say. So every person who's into fragrance or any male concerned about grooming should get a small bottle, to as far as I am concerned, test it out, try it, and you know, I mean, just experience it. It's something, it's a perfume that you all should experience and enjoy. Okay, so what's my verdict? I would give this perfume, I think it's legend, right? It's 4.5 out of 5. The only drawback being that it's a bit on the what to call it, milder projection and milder longevity compared to some of the more modern ones like Dior Sauvage. And some people might accuse you of smelling like a you know, older person or 90s person, but you know, just you know, rock these guys, I would say. Just rock. Certain days you just feel like it, rock these. It also gives a lot of positive vibes to me, more than the gothic or emo kind of dark blue fragrances and black fragrances and oud fragrances with the era of all these, you know, modern day worries about pollution, COVID and whatnot. So for me, these represent the best of 90s, where things are more full of hope, and you know, the era of Jurassic Park and all those things, you know, people were having a more optimistic view of life, and even politically, you know, it wasn't a bipolar or tripolar world like now. There's a lot of these, you know, China, Russia, America, all these things, you know. Those times were a bit more calm then. So yeah, I miss the 90s, man. All right, so but basically my conclusion is I would give this 4.75 out of 5. It would have been a 5 out of 5 if it had better projection and longevity. So I hope Giorgio Armani continues this what do you call it, legendary product, and then yeah, maybe one day it will become unpleasant like the EO Home by Armani, right? That one is launched, I think, originally 1984 and then 2013, and now it smells like some pungent old uncle or grandfather barbershop oak moss mess of pungency. Okay, so that's it. Take care. Bye bye. Give some comments. All right, guys.
Ini memang dalam tapak. Okay. Sudah bilang semua dah belum. Tapi tak masuk dalam. Kita lupa saja sekali.